What's up, y'all? Let's get right into it. We are on the Challenge World Championships episode 2 recap. So, Paramount Plus dropped 2 episodes for us, a 71-minute episode for episode 1, which was like basically a two-parter, and then an episode 2, which was the regular time. I think it was 40 something minutes, 44 minutes or something like that. So, we're building up. I can see that this season is going to be a build-up season versus a season that is action-packed right from the jump. But I guess I kind of expect that because it's new, it's different, and they're setting us up for what's to come. So the biggest thing from this episode 2 was basically the picks that everybody made for their teams. That was a big chunk of the episode. So I'm going to start by reading out these picks. And obviously, of course, if you haven't watched it yet, spoiler alert, turn it off now. But you guys know this is a recap. So, with the first pick, Grant picks Jonna. They have spoken together. They realize they have similar values. Grant realizes that Jonna complements some of his weaknesses and vice versa. And I think that it's a good pairing here. And Jonna has proven herself to be a great challenger, especially in the spin-off series. So I know that Jonna was excited to be the number 1 pick. So for the number 1 guy pick, there's so many winners to choose from. So it's interesting to see who was going to get picked first. The person who ends up getting picked first is my guy Wes. And I know that Bananas wanted to be the number 1 pick, but Zara ends up picking Wes. I know that boosted Wes's ego, not that he needed it, but Wes calls himself the Lamborghini of partners. So with the next pick, Ben picks Casey. After Ben picking Casey, we got Kaz, who picks Jordan. And I'm thinking that this is a pretty good team. They're all good teams so far. They're all strong teams. I'm thinking that Kaz and Jordan might be a team that's targeted in the future because Kaz made some enemies early, but we'll see how that goes. We got Danny, who picks Tori as a partner. He said that his wife, Kiki, said that if you get the chance, you should either pick Tori or Jonna. Jonna was off the board, so Tori is his pick. We see them arguing a little bit later, but we'll see how that comes about. On paper, that's a strong team. We got Justine taking Bananas, which makes him, let me see. He was the 3rd pick for the guys behind Wes and Jordan. And it seemed a lot of people wanted Wes and Jordan first, then Bananas. Interesting. I think they are stronger competitors than him, even though he has the most wins, obviously. But I think that Bananas now doesn't have the same power and doesn't have the same clout necessarily as what he used to have. So maybe he's not as attractive as a pick as he used to be, because Bananas always used to be number 1. But then again, take into account the fact that he's coming back after a layoff. So we get to Benha, and he's looking at Jody. He wants to pick Jody. Jody doesn't want him, and I think she's saying it's because an Argentinian has already gone down, so it puts a bigger target on her back. But he picks her anyways. Kiki picks Darrell. This is a sleeper team, y'all. Kiki just dominated this Elim. This is like the workhorse team that is just going to get things done. I think people might sleep on them. Rodrigo picks Naya. That's an interesting one. They might have a little bit of a barrier there with the language barrier, but it's an interesting team. We got Troy taking Amber. We got Sarah picking Theo. And then two teams get left with each other by default, which is Tristan and Kellyanne and Huhui and Nelson. So that's all the teams. So now we get into the stuff that's happening in the house. We have Justine having a conversation with Bananas and assuring him, like, this is not all on you, bro. You know, I got you. This is a partnership, and I bring things to the table. And Bananas is like, I saw you on the Challenge USA. Like, you were dope at that. I trust in your abilities. He was making his usual jokes. We have Casey talking to Janae and she's like scoping things out. And I think Casey is realizing I don't have my big brother crew that I usually have. So I'm going to have to form different partnerships and alliances for this game. So they're talking about Kellyanne. And I already know that when she starts talking to Janae about Kellyanne, and Janae is saying, Kellyanne is my friend in real life, but I get, you know, weird feeling or weird vibes from her. I'm already thinking this is foreshadowing to a place in this episode where Janae is going to have to make a decision about whether or not to put Kellyanne in, because I know how the show operates by now. So then she says there's something off about Kellyanne. Wes is giving Zara a pep talk, which is hilarious to me. Because she's sitting there with a notepad taking notes on what he's saying. And he's giving her strategies about the fitness part and the game strategy. Wes is doing his thing. And I think that this is going to be a good partnership. I'm so interested to see how that goes. I think they're a strong team, really. I'm biased, but I really do think that this is a strong team. So we get into this daily. In the daily, Janae does what Janae does best. If it's something that has a combination of endurance and puzzles, she's the queen. She's the queen. So Grant and Janae dominate. They win. They win that daily. Jordan and Kaz finish in second. It was a race to the finish. It seems like they got beat by a few seconds, so they did impressive as well. Now we are in a battle for last place. A lot of the vets kind of didn't do that great. I don't know if they cared if they did that great on this particular one, because it's like if you're not finishing in first, the only thing that you don't want to do is finish in last. So after Ryder dies and the things that I've heard people say on their podcasts and stuff, I don't know how much was they were just bad at it, or it was hard, or they were like, we don't have to kill ourselves here for finishing in 4th, 5th, 6th, because those kind of ranks don't matter. But legitimately, Nelson and Huhui and Kellyanne and Tristan are struggling, as expected. Unfortunately, I guess Nelson's partner is also not good at puzzles. And I've always said there's certain people that have to get people who are good at puzzles. Otherwise, they're not going to win. Nelson's one of them. Kellyanne is another one. Kellyanne was having one of her usual meltdowns. But she avoids last place anyways. They finished second to last. Nelson and Huhui are automatically going into the Elim. So now everybody is trying to figure out how to keep themselves out. Wes is talking to Jody and saying our countries are both down a person, so we could both be targets. Jody is like, he's asking Jody, how can we both avoid elimination? And Jody is like, I know it's not easy for you, but throwing in Kellyanne. And Wes is like, yeah, it's not easy for me. You know, they previously dated and all that. But he was basically like, if I have to throw in Kellyanne, I will throw in Kellyanne. So Kellyanne is going around trying to figure out how to keep herself and her partner out of the Elim. And she unfortunately has a slip and says, oh, the best thing that we can do is to throw US in there. And Tori's in the room, and Tori has a US partner, Danny. So instantly, this is a big mistake, and they call her out on that immediately. And then she has a little meltdown and she's trying to do damage control around the house, but it seems like she's digging herself a deeper hole. So we get into this voting situation, and most everybody voted for Kellyanne and Tristan and Jody and Benha. So those are the two teams that were voted. And now Janae and Grant will have the power to choose one of those teams to go in against Nelson and Huhui. As expected. As I was saying, I expected that from the beginning when they kept showing this stuff about Janae and her personal friendship with Kellyanne. So something notable that happened in the votes is that Wes actually chose to vote for Kellyanne, even though she probably would have gone in anyways because everyone else voted for her, but he decided to vote for her as well. And then she was apparently pissed off about that. I subscribe to Wes's Patreon. I've heard a lot of Wes talking about game. And I can say that I believe that Wes personally would rather not have voted for her, but in the game, he's like, Kellyanne is a ticking time bomb here. So this is not really a situation where I want to show people that I'm sticking my neck out on the line for her. Like, she's going to have to be on her own. And then he's also probably looking at it like she's not popular in the game. Yes, she has some friends outside of the game, but in the game, clearly she said it herself. She has no alliances. Nobody's with her. She's easy pickings. So Wes is about winning the money, and he does not want to attach himself to her. She's pissed. It shows the guys, Theo, Bananas. These guys are like ribbing him in another scene about putting in Kellyanne. They're like, Wes is cutthroat. Wes is heartless. Wes has a cold heart. And he's just sitting on the bed. He's like, real funny, guys. Yeah, but I think that was just a funny scene. I don't really think it's detrimental to him. Maybe she'll be mad at him, but she'll get over it, I'm sure. And Bananas was, of course, leading the charge on that because they're frenemies. I mean, they're friends for real now, but I think they're still kind of frenemies in the game. So the episode basically ends with Kellyanne having a talk with Janae, and Kellyanne is using their friendship and saying, if I was in your shoes, I would never put you in. What are you going to do, Janae? And Janae is like, I can tell you that I still love you. I can tell you that I'm your friend. I can tell you that I care about you no matter what, but it's a hard decision. And I think that in and of itself lets Kellyanne know that she's probably going to get voted in. And I understand why Johnny would vote her in despite being personal friends, because even if she had a chance to protect her before, when Kellyanne had that slip up, there's an alliance that is forming with some of those people in the house. And Kellyanne is obviously far away from that alliance. She's on the wrong side of that. And Janae doesn't want to end up on the wrong side of that either and ruffle feathers just to stick up for a friend who nobody in there is on her side anyways. So my prediction is that Janae is most likely going to pick Kellyanne to go in there. I don't know how she's going to do. It's kind of 50-50. I hope they don't get a puzzle because we could be sitting there watching this forever. Those are two obviously very weak teams when it comes to puzzles, and that would just not be entertaining, and it would be kind of low-key cruel. So episode 2 was pretty good. If I had to rate it, I might give it like a 7.5 out of 10. And I know that sounds like a low rating for saying it's pretty good, but I feel like not much has really happened yet in either episode 1 or 2. And I think that the juicier stuff is going to be happening in the upcoming episodes. But like I said, Episode 1 and episode 2 were good enough to pique my interest. The trailers look interesting. There's so many different dynamics going on in this particular season that I know it's going to take a little while to get cooking, but I'm sure it's going to get cooking. And thank you to the challenge gods and the challenge producers for giving us this different look. It's a different look. I think that if we had the exact same challenge going right off the heels of Ride or Dies, I'd be like, why are we doing this again? But the fact that it's different, it's new, I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far. So thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for the next time I drop more great content. And I will be back when this episode 3 drops next week to do my recap for episode 3.